What's up, guys? It's Branden Flash. Today we're here with my Rivian R1T, and we're going to be testing whether crossbars impact your efficiency on a highway drive. So as you can pretty obviously see, right now I don't have any crossbars on my Rivian R1T, but we're going to be testing without the crossbars first. We're then going to be installing them on the roof, both of them. And then we're also going to be installing them on top of the bed. We're gonna be running at a constant 70 miles per hour on the standard efficiency loop that I've set up, which is 66.5 miles roughly. Then we'll be starting and ending here at the Circle K in Rock Hill, South Carolina, where we'll DC fast charge to 70% each time. We're going to be running with the same climate control settings, same drive mode settings, same suspension height settings. So that way we can really narrow it down to the specific variable. Wow, that's quite the V6 Challenger there. No thanks. But anyway, we're going to be running this test 3 times back to back, putting about 200 miles on with the 3 different configurations. And then I'll pull all the data together at the end and we'll compare. So right now we're charging up to 70%, and then as soon as it wraps up, we'll hit the road. We just finished charging here and it completed at 70%, but then went up to 71%, just BMS sway things. We're gonna go into trip B, reset it again there. We've got our drive mode set. We're on all purpose. It's currently on kneel mode. We'll set it back to standard. I'm actually gonna turn off my kneel mode because that's actually slightly annoying, but makes it easier for short people to get in and out of the vehicle, which I am not in that crowd. Here you can see we have climate set to 70 degrees auto there. And we're gonna be heading down to this exit here, which is I just set to the pilot, and here you can see my configuration: large pack, adventure, Rivian Blue, Ocean Coast, 20-inch all-terrains, and we have just over 8,500 miles on the vehicle. That'll get closer to like 8,700 by the end of these tests, and let's get going. And we're cruising along here at 71 miles per hour indicated, which is 70 miles per hour actual. Did want to mention the weather today. It's about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, and we have a 5 mile an hour northerly wind, so pretty minimal impact as far as temperature and weather conditions go on today's testing. And we're headed south now, and then on the way back we'll be headed north. Elevation change is roughly 200 feet up and down on this route, but because we're starting and ending at the same point, it kind of cancels it out to an extent. But we're just gonna be cruising along here. I'll fill you in when we get to the turnaround point. And again, this is without any roof rails on right now, either on the roof or on the bed. Well, we're just coming up on the turnaround exit here. We're at 58% state of charge and 32.9 miles driven, 1.96 miles per kilowatt hour. So we're gonna be turning around here and heading back north, and then I'll see you at the charger. Just exited, we're at 46% and 66 miles driven, 2.02 miles per kilowatt hour. That will probably go up slightly, and I'll update you once we're at the station and I have the final number for this run. And there we have the final stats for this run without any cargo crossbars. So we're at 46% and 66.5 miles driven, 64 mile per hour. Interestingly enough, even though it was 64 mile per hour instead of the usual 65 or 66, we still pulled in at 1 hour, 1 minute, 2.04 miles per kilowatt hour. We're gonna get plugged in here. I'm going to install the crossbars on the roof, and then we'll do the test again. And we're all charged up, crossbars on the roof up there, as you can see. And we're charged up. It stopped at 70%, but then bumped up to 72% there as it sat for just a moment before I hopped in. We'll reset the trip. Just helping these Mach-E owners with the station here. And let's get on the road. And this is actually my first time ever mounting the crossbars onto the roof of the Rivian. So can definitely hear a bit of noise as we're just getting onto the interstate here. Curious to see how that is as we're just cruising along at a constant 70 miles an hour. Should be interesting. I think a lot of people actually do leave their crossbars on, probably more on the bed than on the roof, just because they look cool back there. And I can definitely hear a bit of noise from them, so we'll see how it impacts efficiency, because usually wind noise translates into aero disadvantage. Just about to exit here. We're at 60% state of charge, 1.96 miles per kilowatt hour, 1.97 now, which is actually identical to the control run we did without the crossbars. So this should be pretty interesting to see how this all stacks up. I mean, if you were to ask me what my guess would be, I would think that having the crossbars on the roof would have probably somewhere in the 5 to 10% range of an impact, and having them on the bed would have essentially no impact. But I guess we'll see what the numbers say, or it could end up being so close that it's really within margin of error and it really doesn't matter if you have them on. But definitely keep posted till the end and we'll run through all the numbers, but we'll go back to the charging station to see the numbers for having them on the roof, and then we'll run it with them on the bed. Just exiting here in Rock Hill, we're at 47%. And we're averaging 2 miles per kilowatt hour. So I'll give you the final result for this run once we're at the Circle K. Like that, we've made it to the Circle K here, haven't plugged in yet. Here are the final stats for this run. So nearly identical to the previous run, 2.02 versus 2.04. So we'll compare at the end. I'm gonna move the crossbars onto the bed while we get charged up here. So let's get plugged in and get that in process. Got the crossbars swapped over to the bed. We're still charging up here. I'm gonna run in and grab a snack. It's starting to get dark out, but I think this won't really actually give us any meaningful results, given that they're in the arrow area of the bed. I don't think they're gonna have any impact. If anything, they should have had an impact on the roof, but I guess one way to find out is by testing, and that's why we're doing this today. Well, we're charged up here, 72%. It's pretty much dark out now at this point. Shouldn't impact the results though. Reset that again. Let's get on the road for the last test, and we have the bars on the bed back there. You can see them there. And we'll see how this goes. I don't think that they will have any impact on the efficiency, but maybe we'll be surprised. Exiting here in Winsboro, 59%, 1.96 miles per kilowatt hour, and 33.3 miles driven, 32 minutes. Let's get back on the road. Well, we're exiting right now. We're at 46% state of charge and 1.91 miles per kilowatt hour, 65.8 miles driven, 65 mile per hour average. And I'll update you once we're at the station with the final stats for this run, and we'll go over all the numbers. And we've arrived to the station here. 45% and 1 hour, 4 minutes. We did sit at the light just right by here for probably a minute or two, so I think that was the biggest factor there. 63 mile per hour average, 66.5 miles driven, and 1.92 miles per kilowatt hour. So definitely less than I would expect. Let's get plugged in here and then we'll crunch all the numbers and see what the results are. Well, I've crunched the numbers and the results are not quite what I expected. I would say I'm not 100% confident in the results given the real world variance here, and fairly small variation between the results. As far as results go, I'll put this table here for you guys to reference as well. No crossbars, 2.04 miles per kilowatt hour. That was the best result. Crossbars on the roof, 2.02 miles per kilowatt hour. Very marginal difference there, about 1%. I would say that's essentially the same. Crossbars on bed, which I was actually expecting to not have really any impact at all, seems to have had about a 6% roughly impact on efficiency, which is very surprising to me. But I guess if the arrow on this vehicle is just that fine-tuned, it can make a difference in that regard. And what that translates into, if you're doing from a 0 to 100, or from 100% to 0%, essentially range test, or you're using the full battery, that is an impact of about 15 miles of range over the course of an entire battery. So it's not an insignificant amount, even though it sounds like a pretty insignificant amount. Anyway, I think I'm going to take my bars off. I was planning to just leave them on, but I have quite a bit of driving planned for earlier this week, and I could use all the efficiency I can get, so I'm going to be taking them off. Curious, what do you guys think? Is this the result you were expecting? I would add that adding like a tent, a cargo box, anything like that will definitely increase the impact of having the crossbars either on the roof or on the bed. because those will have significant aero impact, especially on the roof, like a cargo box or something like that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'll see you guys on the next one.